Hello everyone. I'd like to discuss here the concept of the microcosmic orbit, what it is and what it is not, as well as best practices. This term has been flown around in many New Age spiritual circles over the past couple of decades, mainly in the Taoist atmosphere as well as many Buddhistic and Tantric practices. Many people espouse this as almost a introductory or something to aim for at the beginning of one's spiritual cultivation process. And over the course of my time cultivating, I would strongly discourage and caution students from getting into this type of work too early. So first, let's describe what this is. So the microcosmic orbit is basically a connection point connecting the two major meridian points in one's body, right? So the Ren line, which is the yin, feminine line that runs from right underneath your lip all the way into the pericardium between the genital and the anus area. In Chinese, we call this the Hui Yin. And the Du line connects from the top of the lip all the way around through the top of your head, through the third eye, the crown, reaching to your neck, and then running to the back of your spine, back down to the Hui Yin point, the perineum acupoint. What the microcosmic orbit is when activated is to have the energy of the two meridian lines connect and to flow. So you can think of the meridian channels in your body as being almost like river canals. And what the river runs is energy, and for the other meridian lines in your body, it connects into specific organs. So for the average person, this river canal only has a trickle of water, so like a tiny creek, or it could be very much clogged up. And the Du and the Run line are like the real river, right? The big river canal that feeds into the watershed, that feeds into the smaller meridian channels that then connect with your organs. So you can think of it as a dam. And if you were to block the water passageway, but the canal still remains, over the course of decades of living our lives, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you have all of this built up clutter, okay? And this clutter ends up being stored in these river canals that are empty at the moment. So when you work through the microcosmic orbit and you begin to connect the two major meridian lines, you are essentially releasing the dam. And as you release the dam, water starts pouring forth and energy starts moving through the two major meridian points, spiraling through your body and going into the watershed, going into the tinier, smaller canals of your other meridian lines. And what that is going to do is it's going to declutter all of the toxins that you've accumulated, whether that's energetic toxins, emotional toxins, psychosomatic toxins, that's dormant and that's stored within your fascia, within your nervous system, and within the meridian lines themselves. It's going to release that. And that energy is going through your organs, and the organs is going to start having to work much harder to process out all the toxins. The first is that it detoxes the body and it readies the body for higher spiritual work and to really elevate and ascend it on a vibrational scale to connect with higher and higher realms of reality. The second benefit of it, and one that the Taoists preach and use more so, is as you continue to do this, the energy that is being produced, it's of electric magnetic in nature. It's connected to the lower dantian, and we will call it jing, or vitality in Western esoteric terms. So as that energy starts moving in your body, it's going to start accumulating and building. And you're building up your cake, you're developing, you're amassing, and you're activating the water wheel, that's your dantian, the lower dantian. You're constantly activating it, and the excess energy is then being stored and cultivated. And when you do that enough, and you, along with other exercises to accumulate energy in the lower dantian, so in Taoist terms, there's exercises where you accumulate the energy, and then the microcosmic orbit is going to help you move the energy. And in that process, it's going to transmute the vital energy, the jing, into qi, into the second dantian, into the astral quality. And as you begin working with that, then you can begin to open up the heart space, absolving emotional, psychosomatic ailments and so forth. So that's the two main benefits, okay? One is it activates the Jing, the lower dantian storage, and it develops it into the byproduct of it is developing into qi. And the second is an entire body cleanse and detox. So why I caution students is because oftentimes they're picking these things up from books and they don't really have really targeted practices to detox their body already. And when you activate this microcosmic orbit, the detox is quite intense. And oftentimes students think they want it, but they're not prepared to go through this type of detox process. And the detox might last for months. It could drastically impact one's lifestyle, especially if they have commitments requiring to provide for their family, adhere to a 9 to 5 job, or if they have travel plans and they want to really enjoy the next couple of months of their time off. Whatever it may be, most students, they don't understand that the gains and the level of detox that is going to happen in this type of experience is going to oftentimes, not for everyone because everyone has different levels of toxin, but oftentimes it may completely derail their plans for that coming year and onwards. A byproduct that may occur as you activate this is to stir up the serpentile energy that resides in between the Huiyin and the lower dantian in the sacrum region, your sexual energy, and it's going to activate the Kundalini energy and the serpentile quality of the snake-like energy to go through your spine and opening up the different chakras and ultimately releasing out through the crown. And again, these terms, microcosmic orbit, Kundalini activation, Kundalini yoga, all of these things, it's often tossed around so much in these new age circles, but people aren't aware of how detrimental it could potentially be when someone is not ready for this. So what I would encourage a student to do instead is follow less intense protocols first to detox your body. One has to have a healthy lifestyle, right? Have a healthy diet and to do some basic foundational work before they get into something this intense, right? And oftentimes these foundational work may require years for you to slowly detox before going into something so extreme like that. Look into your gut health, look into your quality of sleep, look into your physical physique, having the body that's strong enough to weather the storm. And the next thing that I would encourage, and what we teach at Wisdom Tree, is a specific technique not to activate the microcosmic orbit, but rather to detox and to release the toxins from these two major canals before ever going into activating this microcosmic orbit. And this is a particular technique that I actually haven't seen in other discourses and practices, and it was passed down to me through my medical classical Chinese medicine lineage, and it's from the lineage of Dr. Tan Van Lei. You're not going to find much about him online. He's passed away, but basically he was exiled from Vietnam, having trained in Western medicine, Eastern medicine, as well as folk medicine and more of the shamanic medicine qualities. And what this man did was he went all over the world across Asia to learn different healing techniques. He went to Japan to learn what they have, to Thailand, to all these different places. And in Tibet, he picked up a very specific technique, esoteric Buddhistic tradition there. And we just call it Tibetan breathing. And this is a breathing technique. It's one of the techniques that's easier to learn, but has infinite depth. And the more you do this type of breathing, the deeper you'll be able to understand it. And it basically allows you to clean the gutter, as they may say, of your major canals, so that when you do open the dam, if you ever do, then the water will run clean and the detox effects of it would be much less drastic. Okay, so this is one of the first things that we would ever teach in the Art of Qi program. And we have on our website a 3-day, I believe, a 3 or 4 day course explaining just basic postural alignment as well as this very technique. It's incredibly powerful. And it's something that we teach every patient that will come to us, because doing this alone would just open up so many different meridian points. And you can see this in our assessment. Maybe some patient come to us and they'll have 30, 40 meridian points that are clogged up, and we have ways of testing this. And as they continue doing this exercise, they come the second day and they already cleared up 10 meridian points on their own. And then third day and fourth day, and the more they do this exercise, the more they were going to unblock in their own meridian map of their body. So it's a very powerful technique, and if you're curious about that specifically and how to work that and ready and prepare your body for higher initiatory work, I do recommend you check out that course. There's a nominal fee to it. We wanted to make it as accessible as possible for anyone that's interested in it. And the last thing I would recommend is, if you do ever venture into the realm of this microcosmic orbit and trying to activate it, you definitely want to go in and find the right teacher that can initiate you into this quality. And I would say that probably like 99% of the teacher who's talking about this have absolutely no idea how to even activate it themselves and are purely talking about it on a theoretical framework. So you want to find a teacher that can give you the energetic feeling and discernment, not to give you, but rather to teach you how to do it yourself. And before you ever even go into this, you have to learn how to transmit energy, how to move energy in your body. And this is really the foundational aspect that any Qigong practitioner, internal alchemist would first have to hone before they go into any level of deep internal cultivation, okay? If you attempt this a bit too early, it could permanently scar you, at least in this lifetime, and really dissuade a lot of people from accessing this work. And at the worst case, people who activate this prematurely might end up being in psychiatric wards and having the wrong recommendations and being drugged for the rest of their life because they can't cope with the amount of detox and the amount of stimulation and spiritual opening that this type of exercise would provide, okay? Drop us a comment below if you have any questions, anything about Kundalini syndrome, Kundalini awakening, microcosmic orbit, anything in that type of realm. And yeah, please proceed with discernment. Open up your heart and listen to your intuition on how to train these type of things and who's the best teacher, as well as when you feel internally ready for this type of initiation. So take care for now, and we'll keep in touch.